It's time to get the band back together and use music to spread peace, love, and unity throughout the world. This is Bob Marley Unity from High Roller Games. This is a casual competitive game for 2 to 4 players. Set up concerts, populate them with fans, and attend other players' concerts. The goal of the game is to collect the most Unity tokens. Once all Unity tokens have been collected by players, the game is over. The player with the most Unity at the end of the game wins. Place the board in the center of the table. Put the musicians, the love, and the Unity tokens in piles beside the board. Place the spliffs, the Marley icon, and the fans on the center of the board. Shuffle and place the Hope deck and the Cause deck beside the board. Keep the concert cards and the reference cards to the side. Put the corner cards text side down on their matching corners. This is so they are handy to flip over for quick reference. Each player chooses a tour bus, collects the matching ID markers, and begins with 25 love. Each player also chooses any one of the 5 musicians to begin with. Players take their turn clockwise after the first. Each player rolls the movement die. The player that rolls the highest places their tour bus on a corner space of their choice. The player to the left of the first player places their tour bus on any corner, but cannot place it on a corner that another tour bus is on. To start the game, the player that placed their tour bus on the board last takes their turn first. Players take their turns clockwise after the first. To start your turn, roll the movement die and the fan die. You may choose which die to use first. In this example, the blue player rolled a green fan die and a 3 for the movement die. For the movement die, simply move that many spaces clockwise. If you land on an unowned concert, you may buy it. The love cost for the concert is at the bottom of the space. The blue player has decided to buy Burnin' 1973, so they're going to pay 2 love to the bank. Then they'll take the matching concert card and place it in front of them. Then they place their ID marker on this concert. That's it for the movement die. The fan die is for collecting or placing fans on your concerts. Since this player rolled green, they'll take a green fan from the center of the board and place it in front of them. This is your fan pool. As you continue to collect fans, place them here. On a future turn, if they were to roll green and they have a green fan already in their concert pool, they can take the green fan from their concert pool and place it onto a concert they own instead. When placing fans on a concert, they must be color-coded. The first fan of your concert can be any color, but the second and third fan cannot be the same color. If the second fan is yellow, the third can only be red. If you don't roll a red, then you must use that roll to collect the fan for your fan pool instead. Once all 3 color fans are on a concert, this is considered a set, and the next fan can be any color to start the next set. There's no limit to the amount of fans that can be on a concert or in your fan pool. You can't collect love from a concert the same turn you buy it. But when you land on it again, you give a great performance and collect love from the audience. I'll be adding these fans as an example. The amount of love you collect depends on how many players and fans are at the concert. The amount is listed on the back of the matching concert card. In this case, there are 4 fans and 1 tour bus, for a total of 5. Following over the next column, the amount you would collect from the bank is 23 love. If another player lands on your concert, they enjoy the show and give you love. It is calculated in the same way. In this case, there are 4 fans and now 2 tour buses for a total of 32 love. Whenever a player gives the required amount of love at another player's concert, that player collects a Unity token from the bank. However, if that player doesn't give love, whether they can't afford it or just don't want to, the player that hosted the concert collects the Unity token instead. Each player starts the game with 1 musician of their choice in their band. Every time a player passes the joint, they collect another from the bank. Each musician has their own unique ability that can only be used once per turn by flipping them face down. Face down musicians can't be used again until they're refreshed, and I'll be explaining that soon. Let's take a moment to talk about each of the 5 musicians. To use the guitarist, roll the fan die and take the action by collecting the fan for your fan pool or placing it in one of your concerts. You may use the guitarist at any time on your turn or on another player's turn, even instantly as a reaction to something like a player landing on one of your concerts. Remember to flip the musician face down when using their abilities. The keyboardist, the bassist, and the drummer give you movement options. Use their abilities after you roll the movement die, but before you move. The drummer can add 1 to this roll of 5, making it a 6. The bassist can subtract 1 from the 5, making it a 4. And the keyboardist will allow you to roll the movement die again, picking either roll. The singer gains you 10 love when landing on an owned concert. This can be owned by you or another player. In addition to paying or collecting love, flip the singer face down and collect the 10 love from the bank. Whenever your tour bus passes the joint, refresh all of your musicians back to their face upside, and they can be used again in the future. If you have more than one musician in your band of the same type, you can use any number of them at the same time, and their abilities stack. Spliffs are another way to refresh musicians. If you want to refresh a musician to use their ability, use 1 spliff and refresh 1 musician. Used spliffs are placed back on the center of the board. If you'd like to refresh another musician, use another spliff. Even though you can only use each musician once per turn, you can use any number of spliffs at any time. On all 4 sides of the board, there are hope spaces and cause spaces, and each have their own deck. When you land on one of these spaces, draw a card from that deck. When you discard a card, create a pile of face-up cards beside the deck. This is the discard pile. When there are no more cards in the deck, shuffle the discard pile and place them face down as the new deck. There are 3 kinds of hope cards: green, yellow, and red bordered cards. Green bordered card effects happen immediately. Follow the instructions and discard it. Green bordered cards often involve other players. For example, if the blue player played this card, Stir It Up, each other player may refresh a musician, and the blue player gets to collect a musician. Yellow bordered cards are single use. When you draw one, keep it and don't reveal it. Save it to use when it is most useful and discard it when you do. The yellow bordered cards have a condition on when you can use it. For example, with Soul Rebel, you may play this card instead of rolling the movement die. So at the beginning of your turn, you would only roll the fan die. Then follow the instructions of the lower part of the card and go to a space another player is on. When you draw a red bordered card, keep it in front of you. These cards give you an ability for the rest of the game. With the card Freedom Time, for the rest of the game, if you land on a hope or a cause space, you may choose either deck to draw from. Like Freedom Time, some hope cards have a multicolor title and Move Marley icon at the bottom of the card. Hope cards like these can bring the Marley icon, which is the representation of Bob Marley, into the game. At the start of the game, the Marley icon is in the middle of the board and out of play. The player that draws this kind of hope card may take the Marley icon from there or another space and place it on any space of the board. The players cannot move past the space the Marley icon is on. If your movement would roll you past the Marley icon, you must stop on this space. When you land here, you interact with the space, but you also meet Bob Marley. You may interact with either in any order. When meeting Bob Marley, there are 2 options. Smoke a spliff with him and collect a Unity token from the bank, or he gives you a spliff and you collect a spliff from the bank. After interacting with the Marley icon, you can choose to leave the Marley icon on the same space, or you may put it back in the center of the board and out of play. Cause cards represent a principled challenge with an end goal. They're collected for Unity points at the end of the game. When you draw a cause card, don't reveal it to the other players. Each card has a goal and a reward for achieving it. With this card, for example, the goal is to end the game with the most love or tied for the most. At the end of the game, if you own this card, check to see which player has the most love. If you do, add 3 Unity points to your total Unity score. There's more about Unity scores at the end of this video. Each of the 4 corners of the board have their own unique options for players. It is handy to place these corner cards on their corners, art side up at the beginning of the game. This way, it's easy to flip the card over and quickly check which actions you can do. The joint is unique in that it is the only space that actions are taken when you pass it, as well as when you land on it. The joint allows these actions to be taken. 1. Give 1 spliff to each other player from the bank. The player that passes or lands on the joint does not collect a spliff for themselves. Pass them to other players only. And 2. Collect a musician of your choice from the bank and add them to your band. And 3. All musicians in your band are refreshed. There is one other action on the joint that you may take. It is the only one that doesn't happen automatically when you pass the joint. You have to land there and it is optional. Players may cycle through the cause or hope cards they own. That is, discard any number of one type of card and draw the same number from that deck. The studio gives you options to buy and trade with the bank. When you land there, choose one of the following options. 1. Buy a musician from the bank with 10 love. 2. Discard a spliff and collect one musician from the bank. 3. Trade one musician in your band with any musician in the bank. And 4. Trade any number of fans in your fan pool with fans of any color from the bank. See the last page of the rules for when the bank runs out of tokens. At the airport, you can take a flight to any space on the board, but first you have to make it through customs. As a reggae band in the 70s, this can be difficult. First, roll the movement die for yourself. If you roll a 1, you're stopped at customs and your turn is over. If you roll a 2 through 6, you make it through customs, but now your band has to try to make it through customs. Roll a movement die for each musician in your band. If they all roll a 2 through 6, you and your band make it through customs. But in this case, it's always the bass player, isn't it? Any musician that rolls a 1 is stopped at customs. Place the musicians that were stopped on the airport space. The next player to land here can collect these musicians. And unfortunately, you cannot take your spliffs on the plane. You can quickly use them to refresh your musicians, but you must discard any remaining. Now you can take the flight with your remaining band members to any space on the board. Moving like this does not cause you to pass the joint. You can change your mind at any time at the airport. Keep the band together by ending your turn at the airport. And finally, the One Love Corner. The main goal of the game is to collect as much love as you can and cash it in for Unity tokens at the One Love space. There are 2 options when you land here. If you don't buy Unity tokens, you may roll the movement die again and interact with the next space you land on. Or you can buy Unity tokens for 10 love each. You can buy any amount of Unity tokens, and when there are no more Unity tokens in the bank, the game ends. The last player to buy Unity tokens at the One Love earns as many Unity points as they can afford, regardless of the amount of Unity tokens left in the bank. For example, there are 3 Unity tokens left in the bank. A player lands on this space with 112 love. They buy the last 3 Unity tokens for 30 love. Because they are the last player to buy Unity tokens at the One Love, they are able to do a maximum cash out. This player earns an additional 8 Unity points with the 82 love they have left over. The game is over because there are no more Unity tokens in the bank, so all players add up their total Unity points. These are the things that give you Unity points at the end of the game. Each Unity token is worth 1 Unity point. The last player to earn cash out earns 1 Unity point for every 10 love. Every other player earns 1 Unity point for every 20 love. And players add the Unity points on any cause cards that the goal was achieved. Here's an example. The player ended the game with 5 Unity tokens worth 5 Unity points. They have 125 love. Because they were not the last player to buy at the One Love, every 20 love is worth 1 Unity point. Rounded down, this is 6 Unity points. At the end of the game, this player had these 3 cause cards and achieved their goals by ending the game with the largest band, the most concerts, and the least spliffs. That earns a total of 7 Unity points for cause cards, making this player's total Unity score 18. That's really good. And that's how you play Bob Marley Unity from High Roller Games. My name is Jesse from iHeart Board Games, and until next time, the box is closed.